Few questions around how my ZOHD Dart is set up for long range flight, so I thought I'd walk you through my setup while I put in a nice countryside cruise. To give you an idea of the performance you can expect with this plane, the last few months I've been flying this plane with increasing range. My current record is around 4 kilometers, but I expect that number to grow in the coming weeks as the nicer weather starts to come. Plane does get knocked around a little bit in the wind, which means I try to fly with a max wind speeds of around 25 to 30 kilometers an hour, and that's kind of just the reality with lightweight planes though. To start, I'm running a Matek F411 WTE flight controller. This is a great little unit that perhaps is even a bit overkill for my setup, but for the Matek boards you really can't go wrong with this one. I haven't used too many flight controllers since I've started in the hobby, but this one is just easy to set up and clearly manufactured quite well. Paired with the FC is a Matek GPS module. Great unit, gets satellites quickly. I've installed it in the top bay area under a bit of tape to hold it in place. There's not really that much more to say there. Radio link, I'm running the BetaFPV 915 MHz Nano ELRS module. I could go with a diversity receiver, but at 915 MHz I've already gone out to 4 kilometers and maintained 100% link quality with my transmitter set to around 100 milliwatts output power. I have a hard time imagining how on this plane I'd get out into a situation where I would absolutely need diversity, especially when my transmitter can go up to 500 milliwatts output power. Extended the antenna out the back of the fuselage and it kind of hangs below the plane. Can't say this antenna would likely hold up if I were landing on asphalt or some other hard surface, but almost everywhere I'm flying has lots of long grass I can land in. If you were doing the setup, you could go with a quarter wavelength antenna, but that kind of defeats the purpose of running 915 megahertz, so I'm just sticking with this one the way it is. If it has an issue landing at some point, perhaps I'll consider an alternative arrangement. All these things to fit in the bottom hatch of the plane, I've needed to cut away a bit of the hatch so that all the connections fit. I just did this with my Dremel and a drill bit attached to it. An important thing to consider in this hatch is the elevator servo. There is a lot I'm cramming in under this hatch, and under no circumstances would I ever want anything to come in contact with this servo. So I've actually gone ahead and punctured 2 holes in the side of the plane to wrap a zip tie around the wires and radio receiver in the area. And this just ensures that under no circumstances will they ever come loose and come into contact with the control horn. It's not something I really want to trust with like double-sided tape or something like that. Towards the front of the plane, I'm running with a Foxeer Predator FPV camera and an HGLRC Zeus Nano VTX with Rush Cherry antennas. This is definitely a weak spot in terms of my ability to get decent flying range in this plane. The Zeus VTX transmits at about 350 milliwatts output power, which is good, but it doesn't really compare to a unit like the Rush Tank or something like that. Sure, I'm getting good video signal. I'm using 2 DIY 7-turn helical antennas on the SkyZone Cobra X goggles. The range calculator I use estimates that I should be able to go out to about 22 kilometers with this setup in under ideal conditions. However, I expect this number is actually much smaller, especially due to the fact that I need to use my head as an antenna tracker. That just gets increasingly inaccurate as the further you go out. Perhaps I could expect to get a number closer to 10 kilometers, and if I go above that, I'll be quite happy. HD camera that I occasionally fly with is a Runcam Thumb, just the 1080p version. Battery, I'm expecting to do a video at some point on this, as I think I have something to add to the hobby here. Subscribe to get notified, obviously. But basic battery I run are these 900 milliwatt hour batteries from Sunpato. They're cheap and they come in a pack of 2, which is nice. The advertising says I could use these on a quad, but I wouldn't recommend that as I wouldn't want to draw too much current from these. But when I'm cruising at 2 to 4 amps, these are totally great, and they're pretty lightweight at only 50-ish grams. With these I get about 15 minutes of what I consider safe flight time. And after that, things get a little dicey. If I need to gain altitude for whatever reason, I start to get low voltage warnings when I punch it. Expect if I was really pushing the limit on them, I could fly up to about 20 minutes. Again, gonna do an interesting video on batteries for long range fixed wing FPV in a little bit, so subscribe if you want to check that out. I hope you enjoyed that, and please enjoy the rest of this countryside cruise. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Cheers!